a light is not going to help the condition of that paint. I'm so sorry. You can that's what got it to this, is the sun shining down on it. And yeah, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah, but I wanted to light it up for the camera so they can see it. So.
Ah, well, that camera's not on just yet. We're talking to that camera over there.
Okay, what are we doing today?
I'm watching you work. That's what I normally do. No, you said that you're going to show us a couple new tips and tricks for working with single stage, let me reiterate, single stage old faded paint, oxidized paint.
Yeah, you know, I get a lot of questions about how to restore single stage paint. And one of the reasons why is because I have a number of articles on how to do this, and I've been actually helping people to do this, like 5 articles, for 20 years now. And so when people start to Google that, they find my articles, and the next thing they do is they contact me. And I've restored personally a lot of cars with single stage paint. And it's not that you do anything too different than normal paint. It just depends on the condition of the paint. And this paint is severely oxidized.
Now, what year was it that they switched from single stage to base coat clear coat?
In my how-to book, which you edited.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you ever read for content?
When I want to go to sleep, I read your book.
Oh, thanks. There's actually a section in there that has a picture of me working on a 1980 Corvette. I was the guest speaker for
I remember that.
the National Corvette Restoration Society in Boston, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts?
And I can't say that word.
Massachusetts?
Yeah, that's a hard word to say. MA. And
MA.
one of the guys that was at that had a 1980 Corvette that he purchased new and had never been repainted or torn apart. It was a survivor car, and it had the first year of base coat clear coat paint. That was a Deltron DB82 series, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was very soft. Okay, so a lot of the guys think that clear coats are really hard, and most of them are nowadays. But that's because paint's gone through an evolution. Yeah.
So is that the reason why they went away from the single stage to a base coat clear coat?
Oh, that's a good question.
For protection, or is it for actually making the paint last longer?
One of the driving forces behind changing from old single stage paints to modern base coat clear coat technology was actually for the solvent emissions. So
the government stepped in and said, quit polluting?
Yeah, government stepped in and said, quit polluting. So early paints like lacquers and enamels, they're called solvent evaporation paint. So after you put the primer down, you would mix lacquer or enamel with the solvent, a carrying agent, to thin it down so it'd spray. And after you spray it, the solvent would evaporate into the air.
Yep, been there, done that.
Yeah, and so, but now modern base coat, clear coat technology, only the base coat is solvent based. Or the base coat is water-based typically, and the clear coats are still solvent-based, so you're not putting as much solvent into there. Plus, they changed the delivery system, going to HVLP guns, high-volume, low-pressure guns. So now you're just spraying less stuff into the air, more solids onto the body panel.
Okay, no.
There was another reason, too. I mean, since you want to do a brain dump here, right?
I do. I'm trying to get all the information out of you, so that way these people can enjoy it.
Okay, so single-stage paint, because it has pigment in it, so the pigment is actually in the resin, it has a porosity. We talked about this when we did that gel coat. A gel coat is a resin with pigment in it. Blue Boat has blue pigment. It's polyester resin. Single stage paint is either lacquer or enamel resin with a pigment in it. And because it's a mixture of resin and pigment, there's a porosity to it. And this leads to oxidation. When they switched over to base coat clear coat technology, because the clear coat has no resin, it's just solid resin, it's a more solid material that will oxidize less easily.
Okay.
Now, clear coats get swirls and scratches, and they will oxidize, but a lot more slower, just because the porosities are there. And oxidation is actually a process of, I have it written down in my book, I always forget, but basically there's free radicals in the air all around us, and they're attaching onto the molecules here and destroying them basically, and that shows up as oxidation to us. But so the free radicals are in both moisture, so water and oxygen.
Okay.
So when your car is exposed to the air, whether it's raining or there's moisture outside, it's going to oxidize over time.
Okay.
And then there's one more reason they switched over to base coat clear coat technology.
Because it can make better paint.
That's probably another reason, but more I was thinking like in the old days when they did metallic paints.
Okay.
The metallic in the old days, like in the 1950s and the 60s and the 70s and into the 80s, they were aluminum, the actual aluminum flake. Now, everybody knows aluminum oxidizes.
Yeah.
Only now the aluminum is exposed because it's in a single stage paint and it oxidizes readily. And that's why you could take a silver or you could take a a blue. You could take any color of metallic paint, and when you rub on it, instead of pulling the color, it'll pull up black because you're rubbing on the flake.
Basically polishing metal.
You're basically polishing metal, yeah. Even if you're working on a red car, you turn it over, it's black, and it's like it throws people. So what they did was when they went to base coat, clear coat technology, is they did two things. One is they went away from aluminum, went to mylar, so like a balloon that's shiny, mylar.
Ah, plastic.
Plastic for the flake, and then they sealed it over with the clear coat, so now water and oxygen can't get to the aluminum that isn't there anyway, and the finishes hold up a lot longer.
Okay, now, since we're on flakes and changed from metal to plastic.
Front flakes.
Corn flakes, right? Tony the Tiger, they're great.
Flakes.
Yeah. You're funny.
Okay.
No, so now, like when they put in pearls and stuff into clear coats, what is the pearl? Is that just like a plastic, or is it minerals of some sort that's been crushed up into a powder?
That would be my guess. I'm not actually a chemist, so I don't know. I've painted.
Hey, we stumped him.
I've painted pearl paint jobs.
Yeah, so that's why I have a job that I'm doing on my motorcycle right now. So that's the reason why.
But when I painted it, I just went and bought the pearl and added it to the paint.
I was always curious. Is this like actually dead little ocean
pearls?
Creatures?
Yeah, no doubt. I think nowadays they probably make that in a laboratory. Just to guess.
Probably.
Just to guess.
All right. Well, it's a little brain dump before our actual video. We are glad each one of you is here, and like always, I appreciate you guys. He appreciates you guys. Autogeek appreciates each one of you tuning in. And if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. Hit the bell and tell all your friends about these live classes. We're here every Thursday except for next Thursday, because this guy's not going to be here Thursday and Friday. I don't know how he pulls a 4-day week. But he gets it. So with that being said, I'm going to wander that way.
Okay.
And remember, we're going to be working right here.
Right here.
Because that's where that camera's at.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay. So this is a hood I pulled out of the local salvage yard, Snake Road Salvage Yard. And I actually forget what it's off of. But I pulled this off for a class at Mobile Tech Expo, and then we ended up not using it. So now it's kind of just garage fodder. And I want to make it go away. So I kind of thought, well, before we make it go away, since it's oxidized, I'll share a couple tips and techniques for working on single stage paint.
Okay.
So the first thing that most people think of when they're working on a car that has neglected paint is that the normal process would be to wash it and then, to dry it and then to clay it. And the problem with that is when you have this kind of oxidation, and I just happen to have some soapy water here. So I'm going to wash. Yeah, it just happened. So I'm going to I'll grab some soapy water, and I'll show you this will do virtually nothing. So here's soapy water. Let me get some suds.
Oh, here, let me switch
See,
cam.
there's really soap in there. I got a Blackfire foam soap.
All right.
Okay, so if I wash this, wash.
It's doing nothing.
Oh,
what do you need?
A drying towel.
Okay.
Then I dry it. Assuming then I'm going to clay it. Okay, so that's what you do to normally in a car. You wash it, you inspect it, and decide if what the steps are you going to do. Okay, so you can see that really has no effect on it.
No, it's going right back to dull again.
Right back to dull again. And so, and really, people, this is what most people do. If they pull something out of a barn, or buy something off an auction site that's a barn find. So they would wash it, and of course, then they would take and clay it. So here's the baggy test. You would clay it, and you'd go, oh my gosh, feels like 40 grit sandpaper. So then I think, well, I will clay it, And of course, these are normal steps for paint in good shape or base coat, clear coats. So I have some clay already right here, and everybody knows quick detailer. By the way, if you ever buy this stuff, they have really nice atomizing spray heads on them.
Here, hold it up so I can show the product.
Actually, they've changed. They used to have really nice atomizing spray heads. They used to have a different head. This is just your generic head now. So here's clay. Okay, then you come down here and you'd clay this section. And this works. Of course you can do it. The thing about this is, though, is what it's going to do is it's going to load your clay up.
Put it down by the...
It's going to load your clay up with just dead paint. And it's just not very effective, okay? because you're pulling contaminants off, you're pulling dead paint off, and then you're still gonna have to go in here and polish it. So you can do that.
Would you be using more and more supplies to deal with oxidized paint?
Yeah, and you could do it, but just that since I've done this a whole bunch of my life, I would never do that nowadays. I would never wash an oxidized finish in clay. It's just a waste of the clay. Okay, so let's dry this off. Where's my flex blower?
Hey, I got it over here.
Okay. Okay. And as you can see, washing and claying has done nothing to the paint. So, yeah, these come in real handy for video work. I pull the tube off and then do this. Okay. So anyway, so that's kind of a traditional way that a lot of people would approach tackling a single-stage paint job. And, you know, you can do that, and sooner or later you'll get to good results. But what I like to do when I'm working on something that's older and single stage is I kind of divide it into two groups. Now, if it's antique, and we had a gentleman that joined the Autogeek forum today with a 1953 MG TD.
Oh, here, let me...
with the original paint.
Hold on, let me pull
And he's trying to
up.
bring this back with a product called Number 7. And, but follow me, that's a 1953. It's an antique.
Oh, I didn't go to my...
This is something I pulled out of the wrecking yard, and I think it's from the 1980s, maybe the 90s. Not really antique, it's more modern. It's probably a urethane single stage that is simply oxidized. So when I'm working on stuff like this, instead of doing the Number 7 rub down, what I'll do is the Comet technique. And I just want to emphasize this is, and Yancy started out doing this, this is not for base coat, clear coat finishes. Do not do this to your Honda.
Single stage only, people.
This is single stage in bad shape. And here's what this is going to do. And this also works for oxidized boats too. But this is kind of a non-abrasive cleaning power. It's got a little bleach in there, so it's going to sanitize it. And that's why I like to use it on boat, non-skid, you know, on boats, because it cleans and sanitizes the boat. But this is going to safely chew off a lot of this dead paint, so you don't got to waste your clay doing this. And then when you go to buff it, you're not going to load your pads up with dead paint. So it's just kind of a cheater. I call it my cheater method to remove the majority of the oxidation and get it to where now I'm ready to polish it. So that would look kind of like this. I wanted to use a white wash mitt. Oh, I already got it wet here. So here's my wash mitt, my soapy water. Here's my Comet. Put some of that down there. And I got a couple articles on the forum that show this exact technique. One of them is to a classic Cadillac. I forget, what's the other one?
The other one was...
a 68 Cadillac.
A 68 Cadillac.
And both these, and then you're just going to massage this, you know. You're going to put some elbow grease behind here. You know, you need to kind of chew off that dead paint.
But you're not like forcing it, driving it deep inside there.
No, and I'm using a high quality microfiber wash mitt. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using the Comet to gently exfoliate all this dead paint.
Exfoliate.
You like that word?
All right. Look at you go.
A little more water. I feel like I'm on a cooking show.
Bam! Are you emerald?
No. I'm smack ramen.
Smack ramen.
Okay, now I need to rinse this. Oh, you can look at the mitt there.
Yeah, you can see how the mitt has red hues to it.
And that'll all come off in the wash machine. So instead of loading up my clay bar, I'm loading up a wash mitt.
That's all oxidized paint on that mitt.
Okay, so I'll put this over there. And of course outside you'd use your normal hose. I'm just gonna use my IK sprayer here.
Because we don't have a hose inside the shop.
Okay, so then just rinse that off.
Overhead cam.
And then at some point go ahead and dry it. And I can feel it smoother, you know, where I've used the Comet.
I got actually a good question right here from
Sorry about that, Yancy.
No, no, it's all good.
Okay, now.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
We have a question right here from Big Old Dog. Let me bring this back up again. How do you know when you've worked the area enough with Comet?
Usually you can actually feel the surface kind of go smooth. So when I first started rubbing that, it was crusty feeling. And now you can actually hear. So let me put my hand over here and get my microphone down here. Listen. Can you hear that?
All right. Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, now over here. There's just nothing there.
Oh, wow. That's just like clay.
It's kind of like claying, yeah.
You have powder clay.
Powdered clay.
Hey, there's our next $1 million widget.
Anyway, so then at this point, now you could go to your traditional, whatever you're going to do for the paint correction step. And you're not going to load up your pad, and you're not going to waste your clay removing all that dead paint.
Now, if somebody was to use that technique right there that you just said on, actually, let me bring myself up, on regular clear coat, base coat, what will happen?
My guess is it will scour the heck out of it.
Okay, so you heard it here.
Comet and Bon-Ami, barkeeper's friend, things like those are safe for kitchen counters, but not really for clear coats. You also got to keep things in context. You know, if this was still on the car, I mean, this wasn't a wrecking yard. I mean, this was on an old car. If you actually had that car and it was still running, but it was still an old car, in context, that's not like a new car. It's a beater. You know, so for whatever reason, you've decided to restore the finish on a beater, which is my favorite kind of detailing, by the way.
Beater detailing.
Yeah, beater detailing.
There's another shirt idea.
So you can do things to a beater that you wouldn't normally do to a nice car. Make sense?
Yes. No. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that if they were to try this, because there's probably going to be somebody out there that is going to try this on base coat, clear coat, that you run the risk of scouring your paint.
Yep. Now, if this was an antique finish, then I might go ahead and do the number 7 rub down. So I brought some number 7 out here. I know there's always a lot of questions about this product.
That is a popular topic.
And this is some very old number 7. This is post World War II. It's in a glass bottle. Does anybody know why it's in a glass bottle?
Because they didn't make plastic back then. Because
plastic hadn't been invented yet. That's how old this is. And I've already kind of shaken this once, but I'll go ahead and shake it some more. Back then it was called Sealer Reseal Glaze. You want to zoom in on that?
I already did.
Okay.
I was there.
And Meguiar's changed the name of this. I think it was back in the 70s or the 80s, because back then in the 70s and 80s, so many products kept coming out with the word sealant. Okay, they were, instead of a car wax, people were coming out with synthetic sealants. So let's see, I think I got a couple up here. Yeah, here's one. Oh, I love this one. A friend of mine sent this to me. So this is from, I think, the 90s. This is, there's no website address, so this is probably pre-1994, but it says right on there, paint sealant. It actually says contains Teflon.
Teflon.
And we all know that's kind of a joke.
We can cook eggs with it.
Okay, so now here's why they changed the name though. Paint sealant lasts a long time, holds up against inclement weather and repeated washings. Number 7, the sealant, the sealer, it's called sealer. It's a water-soluble oil. So people would get confused and think this was a sealant because it had the word sealer. They'd put it on their car, wash a few times, and it just washes off. So in Meguiar's wisdom, they went ahead and changed the name from Sealer Reseal Glaze, what it was originally used for on single-stage paint, to show car glaze, what it is typically used for nowadays, just to create a temporary shine for a car show. Okay, so at this point, you could go ahead and...
All right, hold on. We got to restart the entire show.
Why?
Freddie Bello, hey, I'm late. Freddie, man.
Look at this, number 7 solidified.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so there we go.
All right, let me get...
I'm going to pour some of this out so people can see this here. I'll stick it up here for you. There we go. And I'm going to answer another common question I get nowadays about number 7. And that is, hey, Mike, when I bought some number 7, it doesn't look like yours. Okay, Meguiar's had to change the formula. I'm not going to go into the specifics as to why. I know why. I'm just not going to go into the specifics of why. It has to do with geopolitical factors. Geopolitical factors, yeah, where the raw materials are, some of the raw materials are found.
So in other words, the country didn't want to sell it anymore.
It's worse than that.
I'm joking.
And then, but the new stuff is white.
Bright and creamy. Here, go to the right. Yeah, let me go right there. There you go.
Okay. The key thing is it still uses the same oils. Okay, so the color's changed because
Can you put that back in the bottle?
Oh, I could, yeah. Good thinking. Might as well use it on someone else's car in the future because my hand is clean. Yeah. I usually do that without your help, by the way.
You're welcome. That's why I'm here.
Sometimes when I'm on camera, I get lost.
That's not just on camera.
Okay. Anyway, so at this point, if you had something antique, a 1932 Ford, a 1948 Chevy, and you were trying to restore that original paint, and we've done that so many times down here in my detailing classes, now that you've chewed off the dead paint, then you could go ahead and slather on the number 7 and put a thick coat on there and then let it soak overnight.
Okay, while you're doing that, this would be a great time for this question because we got a little bit of time for that to soak. Armando, hey buddies, how do you know if I'm working on either a single stage or a clear coat?
Oh, it's real easy. You take something white in color with a white compounder polish. Let's see.
Well, I think you could just rub that straight on there.
Probably. Well, here's I just, I have everything out here. So here's the Griot's Boss Correction Cream, and plugged up, of course.
You didn't prep the set? Come on.
Okay, and then you just use a safe abrasive, don't use garbage compounds, and then take a section on the car and rub on it, and then if you pull color, that's single stage. If you just have the color of the compound in the cloth, then you're still working on base coat clear coat. Where that gets tricky is if you're working on white paint.
Yeah?
Because you can't take a white cloth with a white compound and rub it on white paint and tell if it's base coat, clear coat, or single stage. But guess who has an article on that, Yancy?
Let me guess here. I bet it rhymes with Illip Phillips.
Yeah. So, in fact, even just rubbing that compound on there didn't even bring the color back, This thing's pretty toasted. But anyway, so back to the number 7. So you'd put this on good and heavy and let that soak in overnight. And that's what I would do for something that was important to me. If you've ever read my article, what it says is this is for cars with paint that's important to you. Because I always go up to Facebook and I see guys go, oh, just compound it. Well, fine, if it's not important to you, then just compound it. But I meet a lot of guys that want to somehow preserve that original paint, which is old, thin, and brittle, and they don't want to just compound it. So they're willing to do extra steps to try to bring that paint back to life, make it more workable before they work on it, and that's what the number 7 does. It kind of reinvigorates that paint after it's been left alone for all these years. Make sense?
Sounds legit to me.
Okay, so, but I'm not going to let that sit there any longer because I'm going to go ahead and do some other things to it. But you'd let that soak overnight, then you could come back and then wipe this off. And you'll see, even though it's only been a few seconds, look how it's brought back that color, gloss and shine.
And that's the oils going in there.
That is the oils going in, and it'll get even better if I let it sit overnight.
But now, will that, as soon as the oils evaporate, it'll return back to being...
Well, not really. It depends on the paint. That's a good question. It's kind of a gloated question. So if you went to Google and typed in paint condition categories, 3 words, and added my name, Mike Phillips, you'll pull up the different paint condition categories in the car detailing world. And 2 of them in there are called, I think it's number 9 and 11, categories 9 and 11, but you can check me if I'm wrong. But one's called past the point of no return, and the other one's called unstable. Now, some cars, the paint just simply becomes past the point of no return. Nothing you pour out of anybody's bottle, any tool pad, whatever, nothing's going to save it. It's past the point of no return. But there's another category in there called unstable. And unstable is when you have a single stage paint and it's usually been sitting in the sun for so long or just neglected, it's so old that the pigments become unstable. And when you do something like this to bring the color, it looks good to you and me. You park this car outside and in a couple hours it just goes back to what it was. The pigments have become unstable.
Unstable.
So anyway, I think that was a fun article to write, by the way. So that is a couple different ways you can approach old single stage paint. Wash it with Comet, chew away the dead paint, soak it with number 7 overnight, and then start your correction process, whatever that might be. Any questions?
Yeah. You gonna finish the rest of the hood?
No, but I thought I would go ahead and we'll just polish a section here. And a lot of times for old single stage paints, once I get them to like this, instead of compounding them, I'll just keep it simple and I'll use a great AIO.
Okay.
Okay. And just for fun, because we haven't done this before, I brought out a tool that there's always a lot of interest in, the Cyclo.
All right, quick, real quick. Was that guy that's on the forum, John Ullman?
John, yes.
Yes, okay, he is here. Let me bring his question up right. MG guy here, please explain where the number 20 sealant you suggested would fit into this process. Is this a place of the number 7 or to be used as a top coat in place of wax?
Top coat in place of wax. John, by the way, everybody that's watching this is the gentleman that just joined the Autogeek forum with the 1953 MGTD with the original red paint. And he's having a hard time bringing this paint back. And one of the things I wanted to share with him is this is an older product. This has probably been out since the 1970s. Now, Meguiar's always updates the formula. So this isn't a formula from 1970, but this is a product that's been around a long time. And that means there's a lot of people that buy it because they're happy with it. You don't keep buying something because it doesn't work. But here's what makes this product unique. It is a synthetic polymer sealant, but it has a light chemical cleaner in it. And what this is going to do for you, John, is I think it's going to help you to remove some of the oxidation, restore some of the color, and then give you a finish that's more stable, because you said this car's a daily driver. And so it's water resistant. It's a water and detergent resistant sealant. So it's just going to hold up better than just the 7 alone or a car wax. Make sense?
Makes total sense.
Okay. And I will try this on a section up here just to see what it'll do. In fact, I'll do that right now. This is also, John, and anybody watching this that is going to restore antique single stage paint. By the way, I've got a number of single stage paint projects coming up. Next weekend, I'm doing the original paint on a 1968 MGB GT.
Yeah, the yellow one that was
The yellow one, yep. And I also got a 1961 Chrysler New Yorker, 1961 original black enamel paint. And on the way from Texas is a 1970 Cuda with the original purple single stage paint. So some of you watching this may be bored because you don't work on single stage paint, but I'm thankful that I get to, because I like working on cool old cars like that. Whoops, let's shake this first.
All right, while you're doing that, is the paint thickness usually the same? In this kind of playing off of James Conner is answering this.
No.
What is the paint thickness of most single stage paint? Is it usually the same as base coat, clear coat, or is it could be a little bit thicker?
You know what? I don't know when paint thickness gauges were invented. I have an antique one in my office. I actually don't know how to use it because, well, I've never read the instructions. But it don't look like anything modern. There's no battery in this thing.
No. The paint thickness of the paint.
Yeah, the paint thickness. But I haven't.
You went off on a tangent.
I did. I went off on a tangent.
Okay,
That's what I'm good at.
Did you understand my question?
Okay, I understand your question. And to tell you the truth, because back when I detailed a lot of cars and was working on single stage paint, I didn't have a paint thickness gauge. I didn't measure them. So I don't know.
Okay.
But here's what I do know is as progress, don't you love that word, progress? As humankind has progressed, at the factory level when they're building cars, it's a science to put as little paint on the car as they have to, because that's a huge expenditure in the cost of making a new car. So they're always trying to find a way to, because you remember, car manufacturers are doing things on scale. They're not building a car, they're building millions of cars. They can save a pint of paint on each car and extrapolate that out to how much that'll save them. It's a lot. But back in the old days when we had the assembly lines and guys were actually spraying the cars, not robots, I think they got a lot more paint on them, just because humans aren't as spendthrifty as computer-controlled robot arms.
All right, Dodge, where's my car? Speaking of cars being made by the millions,
okay, so
where's mine?
Here's some Meguiar's number 20. And I'm just gonna, I don't know if this is gonna work that good because this paint's really dead.
Oh, we'll find out. Look at this, testing. Bum, 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 bum. You know what I think we should do? We should blindfold you when you do the...
Or are we gonna do something like that?
Yeah, we should blindfold you when you're doing the cyclo and see how well you do.
So remember, this here is non-abrasive, but it does have a chemical cleaner to it. And you can take and massage that on, and you can look at that beautiful color we're pulling up there. And look at the black that's coming off. So the black would be the
Can you move that back a little bit? There you go. Oh, wow, that black came from that?
Yeah. Well, that's the contaminants that are on this paint.
Oh, wow.
And of course, you let that dry and then wipe that off. And so for John there's what just the number. Let me do a little better wipe job here. There's what just Just the number 20 did all by itself. Not bad. So that would be something to take a look at. Just remember in the email I just sent you, I said, shake it well.
Can you just like lift that up?
Oh, sure,
just
yeah.
a touch? There you go. I mean, you can kind of see it. Or go let down just a little bit. Yeah, right there. Not as good as the above where there's been polished.
This has been machine polished, yes. Okay, so, but for a simple, this isn't, by the way, this is an AIO all-in-one. It's number 20, and it's a polymer sealant, but it has a light chemical cleaner in it, non-abrasive but chemical cleaner. So a lot of people are familiar with Classa A all-in-one. Mm-hmm. That's a chemical-only AIO. This is a chemical-only AIO. Different polymer synthetic technology, so completely different. But anyway, so another way to skin that cat, so is just use the light numbers M20 on old antique single-stage paint, and because you're just doing one thing to it and sealing it at the same time, you're kind of done.
All right. Okay. Cyclo, you're going to do something with
Back
Cyclo.
to the Cyclo. Yep. Okay. So for this Cyclo, I threw some Meguiar's microfiber pads on here.
Okay, now is there a reason why you use microfiber instead of foam?
I just wanted more bite.
Okay, well that's a good reason.
So here's another great article that I wrote a couple years ago that I always really like to share with people to help them to understand, especially if they're new to detailing. And it's I have two of them. One's called Fibers versus Foam. And I think the other one is called Fibers Are a Form of Abrasive. You can Google those, add my name, and pull them right up. And the point is a fiber is an abrasive. And a foam pad, even if I just show you this foam pad, this foam, that's a uniform texture, okay? And anytime you're using a wool pad or a microfiber pad, each one of these individual fibers cut the paint. So they're definitely more abrasive than uniform texture. And when I have single-stage paint like this, I want to be more aggressive with it.
All right, then Armando, are you using old products to do the restoring of that hood, or is there a modern one that I can get at the Autogeek? He's just showing you his old bottles.
Just having some fun with old bottles.
Yeah.
You can buy the number 7.
Yeah, the number 7 is still around.
Yeah, number 7 is still around, and
the 20 is still around.
The 20 is still around, and the 20 is an updated formula. So is the number 7. But the thing about the number 7 is it's got what they call the TS oils, trade secret oils, and you won't find out what they are by looking at the MSD sheet. That's something only the chemists know. Okay, so there's some Blackfire OneStep, which is a really nice AIO. And this is the Cyclo, I think they call this the Mark II or the Mark V, but this is the one that has the variable speed dial on it.
I think that's the Mark V.
Mark V? Yeah, Mark V. And then they put a toggle switch up, or a rocker switch up here instead of the toggle switch, which has the universal code of a 0 or a circle and a 1 to tell you on and off, because there was some confusion over that. But what's nice about this is if you turn this down to 1, it just barely spins, but it's a good way to spread your product out without splattering it all over. So someone asked me about this tool the other week ago, and one of the things I shared was I'm the only person I can find on the internet that has a documented class teaching this tool. I'm sure other people have done it, they just didn't document it. And in that class we had a car here, remember the movie Christine?
Yep.
Well, I had a Christine car here that a class full of strangers used this tool to buff out some other guy's street rod. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him down. That's awfully loud. Polishers always go loud. But I'd like to, let's see here. He's counting his passes over there, so that's what's happening. Don't forget, get your questions in. We'll be taking questions at the live question and answer at the end of the segment. And yes, all these products that we're showing, Mike has some of it in his classic wax collection. So we pulled some of those out to show that they work, but we're also using some of the newer stuff that you can purchase at Autogeek right now. All right, he's about done, so we'll go back to the action. Oh, he's going to do 4 more. Never mind.
One thing about these tools that people really like,
well, you're
they're
loud.
very balanced.
Oh, it is balanced.
Very smooth, even at high speed.
All right. Then yes, Richard, those towels, whitened towels were griots, and yes, they work great for that stuff because they're of a stout fiber. All right, he is done. Let's go back. Wow, you turned the white pads red. That's amazing. All right, hold on. Let me go to this camera only, and let's go zoom. Look at that. Oh, wow. That was like cake darn red.
Yeah, that's the true color of the paint there. Okay, so kind of fun playing with the old Cyclo. Came out, I think, in 1952. And it was originally designed to polish out aluminum-bodied planes without putting swirls in them. And it still works today just like that with car paint.
Do you know if they have that in the 230?
I think they do. They offer it in 230 and pneumatic. And you can get those at cyclo.com or go to the ARUPES.com website. Okay, so the Blackfire OneStep, you know, a lot of people know I show this a lot because this is really a nice AIO. Not only does it have good cut, good polishing, pretty good protection, like 3 months. Any AIOs last about 3 months. But when you let it fully dry, wipes off easy.
Super easy.
Super easy. And I know a lot of guys really like it for that. My friend Wilfredo, he details RVs, high-end RVs in Fort Lauderdale. I can't think of a harder job than being outside in the sun, roughing out a base coat, clear coat RV.
But he found the niche that nobody else wants, and
40
he's milking
feet one way, 40 feet the other way, and the front cap and the back cap. And his muscles are, it's huge. Okay, so let that dry, and then
wipe, wipe, wipe. And that's your favorite towel.
it's my new favorite towel. I got a couple. Wow, look at that finish. Let me get my swirl finder light here.
Let me go side by side.
Boom. Does that help? Want me to tilt it?
Tilt it just a little bit. Yeah, man, my
No light?
no light, no light. There we go. You can definitely see the difference.
Oh, huge difference. That looks like a brand new paint job.
Well, you took half of it off with
and swirl free. Okay, so there's another way to skin that cat. Sorry, PETA. Okay.
Sorry, Peter.
Now,
no animals were harmed during the making of this film.
I also kind of wanted to show another tool, and I'm going to go to another old school product, but let me show this other tool. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is that, again, you know, part of my job at Autogeek is I answer questions, detailing questions for a living. You know, I've been running discussion forums, which were the predecessors to Facebook groups, since 2002, and answer a lot of questions. And here's a question I get all the time. How long is this tool going to be around? This is the beast. This is the Flex 3401. This is the original. You can tell by the aluminum head. Here's the deal. I've been telling people this for a couple years now. Flex is discontinuing this tool. It's already discontinued in some countries, okay? Some countries, you gotta go through another country to get one. It's still being sold into the United States, but they are phasing it out within the next 2 years. So here's my advice. If you want one, get one while the getting's good. If you get one, or you already have one, get a couple backup backing plates. The tool will be useless without the backing plate. And these are a wear item. The Velcro wears out. The rubber actually over time just kind of wears out, just exposure and use. So, you know, they're actually one of the longest lasting backing plates I've ever seen, but they will wear out. And if they're going to discontinue the tool at some point, they're going to discontinue the backing plate. So get yourself some spares. Okay, this is a ARUPES coarse wool polishing pad.
Let me get a close up of that. No.
And not only do these work really great on ARUPES tools.
Show me the other side.
Oh, very short fiber. Oh, I love this pad.
All right.
And usually I'm not a big fan of microfiber pads on the Beast, but this one actually works reasonably well. I mean, really good. Just for fun, let's see what we can do to a section of paint with just the OneStep and a fiber. Remember, fibers are a form of abrasive. And anytime you're using an AIO on neglected paint, you want to use your product heavy or wet. That means use a lot of product. Don't use 3 pea-sized drops. It's just not going to work. Okay. Can I do this spot right here?
You can do that spot right there.
Okay.
We'll turn him down to save your speakers a little bit. And we got people tuning in from all over the world here. Hello, Denise. from India. We have Danny coming in from Ecuador. I saw some other ones that were from, where's it at? Buenos Aires from Mexico. I know I saw UK. We got Odd Harold. I love it, Odd Harold. From Norway. My buddy PJ is from Norway. Absolutely love that place. We got Austria. Sorry, I was doing a roll call from around the world.
But one of the cool things about this tool, because it's gear driven, in case you're watching this, you don't know what the beast is.
It's a beast.
It's a beast. You can, I mean, you can't stop it.
Mike's trying. Did you just dent the hood?
What's that?
Did you just dent the hood?
Probably. As one of my friends in the forum, his name is Vobro, as he coined this saying. It goes like this: all brawl, no stall. Actually, it's all brawl, zero stall. I always like to give due credit where credit's due. I never steal the guy's stuff. Okay, we'll let this thing dry.
No, I was doing a roll call because I think it's funny. Martin Zimmerman comes in and does it. Makes Arizona count from another country? It might as well sometimes. But no, I mean, we have from India, Norway, UK, Germany, Mexico, Ecuador. We got them from all over today.
Look.
Oh, you want me to
just the
down.
beast and a good AIO.
I got to get rid of, our Arizona country there. And wow, that's amazing. Tilt it down. No, the other way. Yeah, you can, the gloss is definitely starting to come back.
That was like 12 section passes, heavy pressure, fiber pad, 8mm gear-driven beast. Okay, so I showed you 3 different ways to restore single-stage paint. And the primary difference, and I want to go back to this because I'm already fearful of reading all the intelligent comments on the YouTube channel.
We get them.
Yeah.
We get them.
Blah, 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 blah. Here's what it is. Again, if you're working on something antique and it's got the original paint and the keyword is important to you to try to do everything you can to save that paint, then you're going to do the number 7 rub down. It's going to go in, it's going to make the paint more workable. So before I do that step, I've made it more workable. If it doesn't matter to you, it's just a beater card, you just want to shine it up, then go right to an AIO, fiber or foam cutting pad and just, go for it, plow through it.
Gotcha. Now,
okay.
Just to reiterate, now let me bring me up, if not I'm just a talking head from the Noid. Just to reiterate, what you would do to save time and everything is from the initial wash process, you would use your Comet technique.
Wash with Comet. Then
once you're done with that, you would rinse, then you would turn around, would you clay then, or would you need to clay after that?
Usually you wouldn't need to.
Okay.
Comet's going to peel off everything.
Okay, no, I just want to clarify because we were talking about clay earlier. All right, so you would wash with the Comet, rinse, then you'd come back in and either use the number 7 or do a
compound or AIO, whatever you want to do. I mean, again, you got to keep things in context. If you're working on something that's old with single stage paint that's neglected, it's either something really cool that's worth some money because you found it in a barn, or it's a beater car. If it's a beater car, just go to an AIO and bust it out.
Hey, Joe, I picked this up for $5.
Yeah, if it's something important to you. You know what I need, Yancy? Can you run back there, and on that cart there's a little yellow foam applicator pad.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. I just got
What did I do with that washer you gave me?
I put it back.
Oh, I got a penny.
Here, all right, just stand there, look pretty, tell everybody a joke.
I got no jokes.
Come on, you got all the jokes in the world.
Okay, so, and then kind of keeping in the theme of antique wax or antique paints, a good carnauba wax is usually a good option instead of a sealant. It's definitely not a coating.
Now, is that due to the natural oils in the product?
No, it's just because it just seems to be a better fit.
Okay.
So this is a antique can. This is from 2005 of M16.
All right, let me zoom in.
This is what's called a traditional hard wax or a traditional heavy wax.
No, that's called professional paste wax.
Yeah, but it's what's called a heavy wax. And the reason why, and I'm not a chemist, but I asked about this, and it's because the molecules are heavy. And see, I didn't know there were heavy molecules or light molecules.
No, it's because they listen to hard rock.
Yeah. So, but this is what's called a heavy wax. And here's what that means to you and me when we use it. You're supposed to apply a thin coat. And if you apply a thin coat, it'll wipe off pretty easy. If you apply a thick coat, it's going to wipe off like concrete because it's a heavy or a hard wax.
Then you'll be there for a little while.
And it's hard to find this stuff. They don't sell it in America due to VOC laws, but I understand they still make it and sell it in other countries that don't have the tight pollution laws that America has. You know, we're the greenest country there is. But there's a little slot here I'd like to show people that if you don't know where it's at, you wouldn't know where it's at. It's a slot. It's called the secret slot. And you take a quarter, or in this case, a washer, and you slide it into that slot, and then you just twist it.
Look at you, you're so smart.
Oh, look at this. This is a never been used can. Never been used.
Look at you.
So let me show you how to break in a can of a hard wax. You take a foam applicator pad, you're going to place this on the top, and then you're just going to start spinning it in a circle. And what's going to happen is that little bit of friction is going to break that wax or kind of melt it into the pad, and that's how you would then apply it. And here's another, I've used tons of this stuff in my life. One of the things you want to do is every time you go get some wax is you want to focus on putting some pressure on the outer side, otherwise you'll comb that thing in.
I think everybody's been there and done that.
Been there, done that. And then the goal is to just put down a thin coat. And this stuff, it's a nice product. It's too bad to see the EPA chased it away. Look how that rhymed.
You could be a rapper. I need to get some rap music in here.
And yeah, that's actually a fairly thick coat on there.
I was going to say, that was not thin there.
And John, with the 1953 MGTD, if you will send me your shipping address, I will send this to you for your classic car.
Look at that. Hey, Mike, if I give you my address, will you send me your paycheck?
No. But yeah, I actually went through my supply. I have 3 unopened cases of that.
Cases?
Cases. I have a lifetime supply of M16. And I never really use it anymore. There's just so many better products. But there are times when it's the right application. Remember when we did that 1937 Packard?
Yes.
I tested 3 or 4 different waxes and sealants on it, and everything I put on that original lacquer paint from 1937 dulled it down except for M16.
Now, here's a good question that just came in. You may have answered it, but I don't remember it. Richard's wanting to know, why did the EPA chase it away? Is it just due to the solvents?
VOC new regulations in 2005. So I was still at McGuire's when they passed a bunch of regulations, tightened down on the VOC laws or regulations in America, and they took effect in 2005. And so back before 2005, McGuire's went through and reformulated everything to become VOC compliant. And then they had a criteria. If it was going to cost too much money to reformulate, or if to reformulate was going to affect the performance of the product, then they were just going to kill off the product. And so M16 got the axe, at least for the United States. I hear that it's still, you can buy it in other countries.
Everybody
which means they
overseas
still make it in Tennessee. They just can't sell it to you and me.
So we can make it, but we just can't use it.
We just can't use it.
That makes no sense.
We'll kill the earth. So.
Do you think that making it would kill the earth more than what it got used?
That and cow flatulence. So, yeah, I don't think a can of M16 is going to make a big effect.
Yeah,
to tell the truth. And you look at some of what the other countries do out there.
Yeah, very true.
So anyway, and the goal here is to let that completely dry.
Yeah,
but I think that's kind of all I got. I wanted to show a couple different ways to tackle single stage paint. We shared how to determine if it's single stage versus base coat, clear coat. You know, what the differences are between single stage. You know, there are some car companies that still spray single stage paint on modern cars.
Toyota is one of them.
Toyota and their single stage white.
Yep.
Now, do you know why it's only the white?
Because it reflects the most sun and it doesn't absorb the heat.
That's a good reason. I don't think that's
my reason.
That's a part of the reason.
Do you agree with me? That's my reason.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I want you to think about this. What color are most big jet airliners?
Hold on.
Most, not all, but most.
Most here. Let's put some theme music to this. Most, they're all white and silver and with blue trim.
Yeah, but they're white.
Yes.
Okay, so here's why. Big things, when you go to paint them, it's too cost prohibitive to put down a fancy base coat, clear coat paint job. So they shoot them single stage. It saves money. Now, do they want to repaint them in a year or two?
No.
No, they're big, be expensive to repaint. So they want to put a paint on there that's going to be resistant to corrosion. So they use white single-stage paint. The pigment for white paint is titanium dioxide powder. It's a very hard mineral. When you mix it with the resin, it makes a very hard paint that resists oxidation and corrosion. So they can paint big things white that'll last a long time in single stage. And Toyota probably does that for the same reason. It saves money. It's going to hold up. And, of course, white paint stays cooler in hot environments like Florida here.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, you look at all the school buses. Where I come from, Oregon, all the school buses are yellow. The roof's yellow.
I think all school buses are yellow, Mike. I don't know where
but when I moved to Florida, where it's really hot, I noticed all the roofs of the school buses are white. And I thought, genius.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
It's going to take all that sun and deteriorate a pigmented paint. So.
Are we like waiting for wax to dry? Is that what we're
yeah, just
doing?
answering questions, letting the wax dry. I mean, you could turn my mic off and I'll speed dry it.
Oh, here, I'll just. Loop. All right, he's speed drying. We're about ready to get to all you guys' questions here in a minute. We're wrapping it up, so we'll just let him finish this last little bit, then we'll do the live question and answer. So let's just. I'll stay tuned for the wax drying, because that's a lot of fun. Oh, Daniel-san, you must use blower to dry. Hey, I thought you were done. Oh, that's a face. That's a face. Somebody give me that as a screenshot.
It's hot in here. Okay, so since you brought up these towels, and I have some out here, I just want to share these for no other reason. I'm not trying to...
For the window towel is what they're called, FTW.
I'm not trying to do anything for the rag company, not trying to take a sell away from
Are you being paid?
No, not at all. I'm not a shill for anybody. But I discovered this towel a couple of years ago. Grabbed one of the blue ones back there.
Hold on.
You'll see the blue ones, because the orange ones didn't exist. I found these blue towels by the rag company.
Ow.
And I really liked them for wiping off compounds because the word is stout. They're stout, okay? But they're still microfiber, okay? So they're still soft and gentle. And when you're gonna go wipe a compound off, if anybody's ever done that, usually compounds tend to be a little bit sticky. There's a lot of paint mixed in with them. You ran them across the panel for a while. They're just not the easiest things to wipe off. And so a limp, wimpy microfiber towel that's might be beautiful and perfect for something like Sovereign paste wax doesn't work well for taking off a grungy compound. So I found this towel sold by the rag company. The first ones were like this blue. And I started showing it in all my roadshow classes just to help people. Just here's a good towel, stock up on these for your compounding step. And then one day, a couple weeks ago, I'm walking through the warehouse and I walk by the rag company aisle and I see this orange one. And the only reason I stopped was because orange is my favorite color.
It is, people.
So I stopped and looked at it and go, oh, look at that. It's the same towel as this, only orange. So I went up and looked on our website, which it wasn't up on the website. So I let the web people know and they put it up there. But the thing about this is it has a, what's called a, I don't know if you can capture this.
Oh, I can capture it, man. Don't tell me I can't.
It has a closed loop nap.
It's kind of like a bath towel, the way the bath towels are.
Yeah, you could call that a CLN.
Okay? A CLN.
Like a closed loop nap, like a bath towel. And what this does is when you push this into a compound, or like I'm going to do, push this into the wax, that loop slices in and breaks that up. It makes it easier for you and me to wipe it off without fighting and marring the paint. So you're not working backwards, you're always going forwards in the process. So lately, yeah, I've been using a lot of these towels because I really like them. They got I think it's a satin edge. I don't wipe with the edges. I don't ever take towels and take the edges and do this kind of stupid stuff. I hold them like this, and then I use the major portions of the towel to do my work for me. But if you let that dry and put a thin coat and then just come down and make overlapping circular motions, anything is easy to wipe off. Look at the finish on that.
Oh, use your saying that you always say. I mean, creep out, Army.
Yeah, I got to have a fully waxed hood to do that. Yeah. But anyway, then you just take the wax off like that and stick a fork in it, call it done, and kick it out the door.
And with that being, man, my voice is like cracking. I am so sorry, people. All right, here we go. It is time. Yes, it is time for your viewer questions. Like always, if you have questions, get them in on the comments. I'm going to repeat them back to Mike since he can't see the monitor.
Yeah. And that's called the swipe test, by the way.
Now he's making other things.
You can tell this wax isn't completely dry, or when you swipe it, it would be clear like that.
Oh, okay, right there.
So that's what the swipe test should look like, and that tells you the wax is ready to wipe off. If it's still smearing, Then it's
he
still
knows.
drying, so let it dry a little bit longer.
All right, you hanging out there?
Yep, I'm hanging it right here.
All right. He is hanging out there. So let's go back, scroll to the top. We have, starting some comments off. Richard, good afternoon from Iowa. Go White Sox. Yeah, somebody was talking, I'll get to it here. They were watching a baseball game in the snow. That's got to be crazy. Michael, my fellow Mopar buddy. Hello, hello. Oh, here's the one. There's one from Egypt, Hamada. Good afternoon from Egypt. We have Patrice Leon from France. And we have Marcus here. Marcus the man that literally wrote the book. Mega respect to Mike and the crew. You know we're going to have to get a bigger shot now because his head's getting bigger. I'm just going to say. Thanks for tuning in, Marcus.
That's the Marcus Parsley, right?
Yeah. He's going to be at your class?
I've invited him, and he said somebody will be representing IGL, but he didn't commit to himself.
All right. Well, Marcus, if you come down, we'll be glad to see you again. If not, anybody else, that would be awesome too. We have Ted Sperling saying, hey, guys. We have Don Weagle. He's watching. Then people go, oh, this is fun. Ron Shoup, the difference with single stage paint is people go, oh crap, did I go through the clear coat? They have mini heart attacks. That'd be hilarious. All right, we have Fernando. His flag looks like it's from Mexico. Buongiorno. Oh, that's Richard talking in. Oh, Thomas Kirby's in. Time to join you and come out from the lawn. I feel you there. Big old dog, Dan Radicals, or Dang Radicals. That must have been we were talking about the free radicals that are in there. Here's
one thing I'll mention just in passing is if you have an old car that has single stage, don't wet sand it. You don't wet sand it to get the oxidation off.
Yeah, you kind of just taking a needlessly.
That's going to lead to a new paint job really fast.
Yeah, we have Maxine McLeod here. What then causes Tesla to have problems with their paint?
What, Tesla?
Tesla. Have you did a Tesla yet?
I have not even words on a Tesla. So
are you not in with the E crowd?
Well, none of my customers have brought me one of those. I think I had one come to me one time and he canceled. I was looking forward to working on it. And I had one lined up for my last class, but it had a clear bra on it. And that kind of ruins the...
Yeah.
It just takes away too much real estate to teach a hands-on class. You know, everybody's supposed to be running a buffer. I should have had them bring it in, but the other thing was that was my friend Mark, the helicopter pilot with the Ferrari. The other thing about that was the Tesla also had just been recently detailed with the coating, so it didn't really make sense to bring it into a class to learn paint correction and take everything off.
Right.
I could have.
He might not like the coating job. All right, here we go. Let's go to Big Old Dog. Pearl paint has tiny flecks of iridescent. I can't spit that word out.
Incandescent.
Incandescent mica added
iridescent.
The iridescent mica added to the clear coating that acts like a binder for the pearl. Thank you. I was stumbling on that. Black Forest. Hi, we have Saban from the Black Forest. I'm pretty sure that's a Germany flag. Hi. Actually, that's where we need to go. We need to talk with our friends from Sonex and Flex. We need to go back to Germany.
By the way, I'm going to donate my antique wax collection to the Elliott Museum.
We have Fizal. I'm not even going to try to do the rest of your name. I'm sorry. I just don't want to ruin it. Hello from Mauritius Island. Anybody that says I'm on an island, they're just too cool. Thomas Kirby knew what this was all about. He's a comment. Okay, here's a question for you, or the statement. John, here from Massachusetts. We have a 84 Mustang I'm buffing. OEM paint was wondering why pad was turning black, but not the color of the car right away.
Single stage metallic.
There you go.
Yeah. And the sad thing is back in the 80s, because they were going through a lot of chemistry changes and nothing was really perfected yet, that a lot of the cars in the 80s had really, how do you say, crappy paint?
Crappy paint?
Crappy paint. Yeah, they just did not have good paint.
Bad paint.
Yeah.
We have Thomas Quinn. Tom here, just wrapping up a 73 Cadillac a few minutes ago.
Right on, Tom.
That's a big old land yacht.
He shares a lot of his work. He works at a street rod, hot rod shop, and he's always busting out freaking amazing work on cool cars.
All right, we have Michael. It's kind of a two-part. Michael O'Neill, good day, Mike and Yancy. And then he comes up with a question right after. Load. Can you do the Comet technique with an orbital and a foam pad?
You know, I've never thought about that. If we put it in context, if you're working on a beater, you bet, because it doesn't matter, because it's a beater. But my thoughts are, here's what I just think, since I never thought about that before, is what's going to happen is that Comet's going to start chewing paint off, and it's all going to start building up on the bonnet of the pad, or whatever kind of pad you have on there, and it's going to start marring.
Yeah.
You know, with the Comet, with water flushing, a lot of lubrication, stuff's rinsing off. It's less of an issue. I've never had a problem washing an old single stage paint with Comet and then buffing it out later. I haven't tried to machine apply it.
But that you definitely want to, GFI plugs, and if you're using a corded polisher, and if not, go battery, one of the two.
Cordless polisher.
Yeah.
You want to be careful. I've been shocked down here using corded tools around too much water before. It wakes you up.
Is that what
it's not fun. It's this really sharp, tingly feeling that it's not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun at all. I've gotten zapped by a welder a couple times. Yeah, it's not fun. Let's go, Luke. How about a 91 Cyclone truck that has micro swirling all over?
Those are cool trucks. But that's going to be basic clear coat. Just polish it with I'm always talking about using great abrasive technology. A couple weeks ago, I tested a big name brand product. Micromarred the hell out of the paint. I was blown away by how bad.
And no, he's not going to answer who it is.
Not going to answer who it was. I was blown away by how bad it was. So you people out there, you cannot just assume that everything is good because it's the year 2021. When it comes to, here's the things that use abrasives: compounds, polishes, and AIOs, or cleaner waxes, or cleaner sealants, or nowadays, if you grab the Z1 over there, we got cleaner ceramics. And anytime you use the cleaner in front of something, that means it's part abrasive, part protection. AIO, all in one, cleans, polishes, protects. So, I mean, here's the latest version of a cleaner wax. And gosh, back here, I got a really old cleaner wax.
Oh, now we're both off camera. There you go. That was planning.
Here's one, and it says right on it, cleaner wax. And everybody calls everything an AIO, but it used to be cleaner wax. So here's old school cleaner wax. Here's cleaner ceramic. So AIO ceramic. But back to my point, there's 3 categories of products that have abrasives: compounds, polishes, and cleaner waxes, or cleaner AIOs, things that do an AIO, does 3 things in one step. And in the real world, it's either great or it's crap. There is no gray. It's kind of good. There's no kind of good, because here's how you test anything. You put it on black paint, machine apply it, follow directions, and when you wipe it off, it should remove the defects and look crystal clear. If it removes the defects but leaves haze behind, okay, we'll remove the defects, that's good, but it left its own defect behind. So it's junk, it's no good.
Yeah.
There's enough products out there in the market today that will remove a defect without leaving any signs that they were there. And that's the good stuff. So when it comes to your Cyclo, just machine polish it, but just choose products that are good. Here's something you can look at. Anything I use in my classes, I would only use products in my class that I would use on my car, or I would use on black paint. So I never bring any junk into the classroom.
Okay. We did that one.
Won't do it as a part of having integrity.
All right, Hamada, the name of that powder was Comet. It's just a household cleaner.
Yeah, it's just a kitchen under
cleaner.
the sink kitchen cleaner.
Yep. Let's zoom in again.
And it works great. It chewed off all that dead paint.
And basically you use that in place of your claying step.
Yeah, and also the compounding step.
Yep.
I mean, you're chewing off dead paint, but see, you're going to wash the car anyway in most cases, so you might as well just use this and get rid of all the dead paint instead of loading up your clay and loading up a pad full of dead paint. Plus, running a buffer takes a lot more energy and time than it does just to wash the car.
Very true.
And again, you got to wash the car anyway.
Okay, we have Marcos from Greece. Much love from Greece, Mike and Yancy. John Vargo, haven't used Comet lately, but did plenty of Comet cleansing all the way back to the 1960s.
There you go.
So they knew what it was. Somebody must have been answering a question of yours. They needed the metal for the war. So I don't know what that
They needed the metal for the war.
I don't know. I don't know what that was for. Maybe that's when they switched from flake to
Mylar?
Mylar. Could have been. I don't know.
That was done in the 80s. That would have been
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, Ken. I don't know where that coffee came from.
But we appreciate it.
But we appreciate it. I'm pretty sure this is Humberto from Puerto Rico. Mike's new leg looks awesome. Yes, he is the man in black today. Armando. Oh, we already did that one. Oh, basically tinted clear coat also you could get finding out
Yeah,
what you're
tinted
working.
clear coat. Guess who's got an article on that?
Mike Phillips.
Go to Google, type in tinted clear coat, and add my name, Mike Phillips, and I got a couple articles on that and it explains everything you ever want to know about tinted clears.
Okay, Thomas Kirby comes back on. Using the number 7, does it keep the classic within the definition of patina class if at a car show?
Oh, I would say so. You bet. Yeah, any judge that knows anything about anything should know what number 7 is. If not, they're a young dude.
Okay, then we have Jacob coming on here. Do the oils absorb into the paint through capillary action?
Yes, exactly. Capillary action.
All right.
You can demonstrate this yourself. Just take some number 7, shake it up, pour it on like a paper plate or a piece of paper, and let it sit overnight, and you'll just watch those oils migrate out.
All right, we did that one.
It's amazing how far they migrate.
Okay, it's raining outside. All right, big old dog. Is there a benefit to number 7 on clear-coated vehicles?
Not really. You know, there's such a thing as if you have a really old clear coat, you know, some guys like to use it. I don't know if there's a benefit because, see, one of the things about the number 7 is the oil. See, a lot of people don't know this, and when they meet me,
Drop it on us, Mike.
I share this, but if you don't ever meet me, there's no one really else to share this information. I'm sure Barry McGuire could tell you, but he just doesn't do this type of interactive stuff. But one of the things about the oil, it's not just oil, okay? It's just not some oil. I mean, you could buy vegetable oil to make paint look dark, but there's a component in the oil that brings out the full richness of color in the pigments. That's why it's used in the product. It's not just, hey, here's some stuff, throw it in the bottle. It's it does a very specific thing. So, so when it comes to a clear coat, since there's no pigment, you don't get that benefited. But here's one thing. When clear coats are brand new, they're very impermeable. They're very non-porous. Things can't go in, things can't go out. I see guys talk about it like they are, but I don't believe it. They're more like a sheet of glass or a piece of plastic. They're perfectly uniform and solid. As they get older, because they expand and contract, you get what are called interstices. And if you don't know how to spell it, because it's interstices.
Do you have to close your eyes when you spell?
I do.
Okay.
Interstices. Okay, if you know how to spell, you can look it up. And what that means is microscopic cracks and fissures in the paint. So if you have a very old clear coat and you rubbed it down with the number 7, it would get into the clear coat because it's old and opened up. And the older the paint gets, the more opened it becomes. And sure, it's going to make it look good, and then you can seal it. But the problem you start running into is you're okay if you want to use products like number 7 on a clear coat, as long as you're going to stick with a wax or a sealant. As soon as you want to go with a ceramic coating or a graphene coating or a polymer coating or a quartz coating, part of that process of putting that coating on is chemically stripping the paint with a panel wipe. Well, that's going to absorb pull the oil out. So it's really a self-defeating process. With the single stage, that's why in most cases you don't put coatings on old single stages, is because the act of stripping it will be the act of dulling it down, and if you're doing something to it, you probably just got it looking good again. Why would you want to dull it down? If you're working on a brand new Toyota with single stage white urethane, well then you could chemically strip it because it's not old lacquers and enamels with oils in it, it's modern urethane paint. It just doesn't have a clear coat. Go ahead and strip it and put a coating on it.
All right, cool beans.
Brain dump.
All right, that was a brain dump. All right, William Lara, what protectant would you recommend for matte painted vehicles?
You know, anything by Dr. Beasley's. Geon has great matte products. Who else has matte? The Pinnacle Black Label has a matte coating out.
I think so.
Yep. Wolfgang, I think, has a matte coating out. Or just Pinnacle.
They have too many dang products.
But here's what you do, is just go with an established brand, you know.
One
just
you
go
like
with
and one that you trust.
Follow directions, put it on. The thing about, I had someone call me the other day ago on the phone. They wanted to buy a brand new Mopar of some sort, a Demon. They got a new Demon out?
No, Demon was a one-year thing. It was a 2015. The red-eye Hellcat Charger Dodge. Where's mine?
Well, this thing had a matte hood on it.
Well, most of the newer Dodges, you can get a matte painted hood and roof and trunk lid.
Okay, so he called me up and he asked me, hey, how do I take care of this if something happens? And I said, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. And
don't mess it up.
That kind of like crushed his little dreams. It's like a paper wad, a ball thrown in the garbage can.
Yeah. If you want to get it painted, then put a matte wrap on it, so that way when the wrap goes bad, you just replace the wrap.
Off, yeah. Yeah, if you rub on a matte paint, you make it shiny.
Yeah.
So
what would happen if somebody took Comet and tried the Comet technique on matte paint? Like an old Barracuda.
Don't sue me. On an old Barracuda.
Yeah, like just an old paint, old matte paints from the 60s and stuff.
Oh, that type of paint. Yeah. I think it would scour the hell out of it.
Then
yeah,
it'd probably ruin.
Yeah, I had a 1971 Plymouth Duster, lemon yellow, with a matte finish hood on it, and I think if you were to rub Comet on there, you'd just destroy it.
All right.
It's really for something glossy that's oxidized.
Okay.
It's not for everybody.
Single stage wannabe glossy paint is where you use the Comet.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else. And Michael O'Neill says that they're keeping my car in Canada. Come on, man, release my car. Let's see here. You're old. All right, we answered that. We answered that.
Do you like how I made a little display up here?
I did. You're finally getting the hang of it.
Product placement.
Yes. Jeff Loff, hello from the Painter's Helper at First Aid Collision in Arden, North Carolina.
The Painter's Helper. He helps the painter in the body shop.
All right.
He is the painter's helper.
Then we have...
He has the icky hard job. The painter has the easy job. He puts the bunny suit on and just sprays the paint.
Yeah, but he's the one that gets yelled at when it all goes wrong.
That's true.
Okay, let's go to this. Come on.
And don't forget we got the yellow towel.
All right, Mr. K. So when buffing single stage paint, should you go slower with the polisher machine speed? And is microfiber or foam suggested?
You always want to do a test spot. And some paints, like today, I demonstrated a microfiber on 2 different types of tool and got great results. I've used microfiber on other single stage paints and it marred the hell out of it and dulled it down. I've done the same thing with foam pads where it just would not polish at all. The only thing some single stage paints is old school hand rubbing. So you need to do a test spot. Hand rub lacquer. You need to do a test spot and make sure you've got a process dialed in that makes one perfect, like that, look perfect before tackling the entire car. Because if you don't do that test spot,
that's the power of it.
And you do the whole car and it looks ugly, you're screwed.
And then you got to do it again.
Yeah, so do some testing.
And I promise, I will get Mike to do a polish job with the blindfold.
But I'll tell you this, though, just from experience, being an old school rotary guy, most old lacquers and enamels really like wool pads on rotaries, okay?
Yeah. They kind of like the heat. They like heat a little bit.
I think they like the friction. The wool
Well, isn't
fibers,
that friction is heat?
Heat's a byproduct, if you want to get technical.
Well, true.
It's a byproduct of the friction. They like the friction, and but the problem anytime you use a wool pad on a rotary is you're going to impart holograms.
Right.
So then if you come back with foam and remove them, sometimes you'll actually see you're dulled that high gloss finish down that you created with the rotary. So it's kind of a, but you know what I can say is wax is always the great equalizer. So no matter what you create by machine, by the time you seal it with wax cylinder coating, it's like the great equalizer. It kind of schmoozes the whole thing over.
All right, we got Mario Torres here. What is the name of that microfiber? If you were talking about the orange towel, it's the FTW.
For the win.
No, for the windows.
For the win.
For the
FTW,
windows.
for the win.
No, it's not an acronym for that. It's an acronym for the windows.
Oh, I thought it was for the win.
Yeah, no.
Shows you how much that's
FTW, you just know it as orange towel, Mikey Light.
That's what you get when you scan. Wow. I just scanned the website. I didn't read it.
All right.
Yeah.
We have people, like I said, from all over. We have India. I saw another country.
I just did a 2001 Corvette, and all I used on it were these towels. So I use it for the panel wipe and the final buff removing the coating. But Corvettes have hard paint, so they're a lot more forgiving.
All right, we have Kim Bob.
2001 Corvettes have hard paint. The brand new C8s have very soft paint.
Yes, they are. They're a pain. Kabapi, good morning, Jess from Australia. We have hello, Vito from Toronto, Canada, as I say that with like a Mexican accent. We have Sweden in here. Oh, we have, this one's funny. Don Weigel from Hutchinson, the corn dog capital of Kansas.
Is that something to be proud of?
Then we have Martin coming right back. Corn dogs.
I like corn dogs. Mustard. I think they're a health food.
Okay. If there's a paint transfer, this is Humberto. If there's paint transfer, would it still be advisable to use microfiber pad and a light cleaning lotion, and if necessary, an advanced compound? Paint transfer.
On a new car? I'd say it's a bad sign. If it's a clear coat of finish and you see paint coming off, that's a bad sign. If it's a single stage paint and it must be older or like Toyota white or tinted clear, then if the results look good, then go for it.
Okay.
No test bot.
There's a Ferris. Hi, Mike and Yancy. I am Ferris from Jordan, Middle East. Wow. I am following Autogeek and Mike since 20 years, so for a while.
Wow.
I am purchasing from Autogeek all the time. I advise to all the overseas to buy from autogeek.net. Thank you. Glad to have you as a customer. And that is why we do this, give back and let you know how crazy we really are.
This kind of evolved from COVID, remember?
Yes, it did. We had nothing else to do. It's like, hey, you got a camera? I got a camera. All right, let's do this. All right, we did. All right, better use, this is Humberto again, better to use foam pad because of wax, because microfiber pad will do some more on the clear coat, but will do the same on single stage paint.
I agree. I've been preaching that for years. Microfiber is a fiber.
Okay.
You know, the history of a microfiber pad started with the Meguiar's. They created them for the OEM back in the 80s. Yeah. And then in the 2000s sometime, they evolved a paint correction system for high production detailing. And the whole goal was to get detailers off of a rotary. The goal wasn't to create a system that created the best looking finish. That's what everybody thinks, but you guys are all wrong. The goal was to get guys off rotaries and putting swirls and everything. And so to amp up the cutting power of a simple DA like the Porter cable, they attached a fiber pad to it. Now you got your compound cutting or your AIO cutting and the fibers cutting. So you're able to get the cut up. But yeah, the fibers, every one of those fibers cut the paint and leave marring. The only time you can get away with finishing with a microfiber pad is like really hard paints. That's it.
All right, we have John.
By the way, when's the last time anybody in the detail world saw me use microfiber to buff out a car? I buff out a lot of cars. I rarely use microfiber. I almost always use foam. Yeah. It's got a uniform texture. I don't got to worry about doing one bad thing while I'm doing one good thing. I'm always just doing good things.
Okay. So. We have Jonathan here. I missed the use of number 7. I have cracked paint. Will that be the product to try?
Yes. You know, put the 7 on. Just be careful how you rub that you don't flake it off. Been there, done that a whole bunch of times. Okay. That's lacquer cracking usually. Okay. Excessive lacquer cracking.
All right. Jamie here. Thanks for the info. I have a 66 Chevelle. Nice car.
Oh, cool.
Original paint to do here in a few weeks.
Wow. What color? It's not that interactive.
We're waiting. We're waiting for you, Jamie.
Yeah, if that was mine, and if the paint was chalky, the first thing I'd do is I'd get, these are great, but you can use these are the Griot's Garage, what do you remember, PFMs? Pretty
yeah.
freaking nice or something?
No, those, I don't remember.
But they're the size of your hand, okay? And just dump the number 7 on and just massage it like you got dry skin and just let it soak overnight. Come back and, you know, use the same type of towel because this actually has that nice loop nap too. And peel that stuff off because it's kind of oily. But here's something I also want to, as soon as you brought this up, a lot of people when they put the number 7 on, when it's time to take it off, they try to get every little bivot off. Now, if you're going to do another step like put a wax on, don't worry about that. Just get most of it off. The rest will mix in with the wax when you put the wax on, and then you wipe the whole mess off when you wipe the wax off. Okay. I mean, just don't be so OCD about getting every little smear of 7 off. Just get most of it off and then move on to the next step.
Okay. We have, oops, it didn't go. All right, there we go. Ange and Aaron Nicholson. Hey, Mike and Yancy. Hey. Great content, guys. I love working on real paint.
Yep.
Yes, that's real dead paint. That's dead paint.
Single stage is real paint. The clear coats are plastic.
Okay. Mike, would you approach single stage metallic paintwork the same?
Yes, I would. And, all your towels are going to turn gray as you pull off the oxidation from the flakes. But my original article, I show restoring the paint on a 1973 Lincoln Continental with gold single-stage metallic paint. And I show in that article, even though the paint is gold, when I turn my towels over, they're black. And that's kind of what I use to educate people that that's the oxidation coming off the aluminum flake. But you bet, drench it in the number 7, wipe it off.
Okay, the towels, once again, are the FTW, they're for the window towels from Rag Company. We have Sarah Riles, orange towels do work, great, I have some. Then we have Martin Zimmershield. I ruined your last name, I'm so sorry. I got some El Cheapo versions of the closed loop nap, and I like to use it on glass. Seems to pull oil and gunk out of the glass.
And a lot of times the closed loop doesn't lint.
I love this. Don Weagle looks like Yancy has a Mr. T starter kit. That's right. I pity the fool. Pity the fool. Wow. Okay, here we have Richard coming in. On a different topic, with last week's 40% off sale, I purchased a shoe polish size can of Black Label Synergy. I was curious about any thoughts or experiences you've had with this hybrid ceramic Brazilian wax product.
Yes, it's a nice product. That would be like the M16. That's a hard wax. You put down a thin coat and you let it fully dry, and you'll find out it wipes off kind of hard. But here's the thing.
All right, here's the thing.
I'm gonna go deep. Okay.
We're going.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
When you put a product on and it wipes off easy, it probably comes off easy, wears off easy. If you put a product on, wipes off hard, wears off hard, comes off hard. So there's actually a benefit to a hard wax, but I know the chemists that make that, it's actually a good product. It's a nice product. The key is put a thin coat down, let it fully dry. Thin, then let it fully dry before you wipe it off.
Yeah, I did a thick coat on it, on my cycle once, and I was like, oh my God.
It
took me forever to get it off.
If Mike Phillips could have his way, and he can't.
No, we say no to Mike.
If he could, every paste wax would come in the same can that Mother's California Gold Carnelian
And
wax
why is
comes
that,
in.
Mike?
Because the can's about this big, and you can put a 5.5-inch foam pad in there on your porter cable or any orbital, blip the on and off switch, get the wax on the can, and machine apply it.
All right.
And I love it for that reason.
All right, moving along, we have detailing law. Ooh, detailing law. Let me say that right. Detailing law, UK.
Detail law.
Mike and Yancy, can you explain why red colors fades oxidize faster?
I don't know, but you are right, and it has something to do with that particular type of pigment.
Could be the pigment. Yeah.
But one of the things that I've learned from teaching hands-on boat detailing classes is I try to avoid red boats. It's not that you can't fix them, it's just that all your hard work isn't going to hold up like any other color, and that just leads to disappointed customers. But there is something about the red, and that's where we could use a really good chemist like Tunch. You know,
hey, he's going to be down here before too long.
Yeah, so the thing about it is, back in the old days, and I don't know where the defining line is between old and new,
With you,
but when you would see a color, you would look for that color in nature. So if you looked at a yellow daisy, and you wanted to make a yellow paint, you would grab some daisies and crunch them up, and that's where you got yellow from. Nowadays, they synthesize the colors with chemistry, so who knows where red comes from. But in the old days, you know, you would find things in nature that had a color, blueberries, you know, a red coral, and crush it up, and that's where you got the pigment from, was the thing that was naturally that color in nature.
Okay, let's see if you can help somebody out here. We have John Harvat. I think I said your last name right. A friend asked me what to use for paint left on his CRV from scraping a narrow garage. Any ideas?
Yeah, you know, I got an article on that. How to remove, it's called, what's the name of that? It's called impact paint. It's called, what's the
paint
name?
transfer?
Paint transfer, paint transfer. So if you type in paint transfer, Mike Phillips, you'll pull up my article. But here's the thing with paint transfer. What most guys do is they think, I'll get my buffer out and buff that off. Wrong, don't do that. That paint transfer is impacted onto the paint so tight that if you try to buff it, what you're going to do is heat up all the paint and possibly screw it up. So what you want to do is go old school with some terry cloth or something like one of these two towels that have some stoutness to them, and get a compound and take them off by hand. With my fingers and a piece of cloth and a compound, I can come down and rub really hard. I can exert a lot of pressure to a small area and just abrade and work that paint transfer off. Then come back and machine polish your toweling marks out.
Right.
But it's usually the safest way is to go old school with a compound and terry cloth and elbow grease. And in fact, here would be a time when a crappy, if I can use that word, I hate to cuss, but a crappy compound, something where you could actually feel the grit, you know, like sand in a bottle or rocks in a bottle, that would help to chew it off. The problem is it's also going to mar the paint. But there's still some really crappy compounds on the market. If you know of one, use that, and then come back with the good compound, buy a machine to pull out the marring.
I have a great suggestion.
It's all about keeping the temperature low.
I have a great suggestion.
What's that?
Don't hit the garage next time.
Yeah.
Don't do
Put your
that.
glasses on when you're driving.
All right, let's go to Rich Thompson. Mike, do you think there's a difference in reaction of how single-stage lacquer and single-stage enamel and they absorb Meguiar's number 7? Does one soak in the oils better than the other?
Yes, lacquer's a lot more porous. It's a crude, rudimentary paint.
I'm telling you, people, it's hard to stump him.
Yeah,
really
lacquer's
hard.
a lot more porous. It's a lot softer. Old school. If you really want to go back to the early 1900s, there's a term or a type of paint called nitrocellulose lacquer. And this was made from cotton, and I don't exactly know the process because they also used it to make bombs. Wow. It's very flammable in a resin formula, but nitrocellulose lacquer was very, very soft. In fact, it was, when they thinned it out, you'd have to spray a lot of paint on just to get any kind of film build with it. But yeah, again, let's talk about evolution or progress. As we progressed from the early cars were painted with shellac, varnish, and lacquer. And then as we progressed, we went to enamel, synthetic enamel, and then to base coat, clear coat technology. So the earlier paints were always softer, more porous, and therefore much more absorbent.
All right, let's go to...
The exception is always single stage white. It's just harder because of the pigment type.
Okay, let's go to Jan. I want to say I'm saying your name right. Jan Velas. Hello, gentlemen. In Europe, the most popular product for this type of job is Autogeek Super Resin Polish from the UK. But due to the history, you prefer your own independent products, right?
Well, I've used the Autogeek Super Resin Polish, and this is where we get into some confusion because even though it's called a polish, I'm pretty sure that's a synthetic paint sealant. So there's sealants, there's polishes and glazes, and a true glaze would be like the number 7 here. This is a non-abrasive oil, okay, that's what it is. It's used, basically, this product here is used to mask and hide holograms at the body shop level. It's really misused is what it's done. It's also 3M Imperial hand glaze. That's like mineral oil. And so when a body shop does a slam job and they buff it out and it's got scouring in it, they'll wipe it down with this oil. It'll look good so the customer will give their money and take their car home. And then most people don't know the difference between a swirl and a squirrel. So they're happy to have their car back and they don't even know it's all swirled out. And after they wash it a few times, because it's water soluble, the oil washes off, the swirl show up. But since they don't know the difference between a swirl and a squirrel, they don't care. So the product you're talking about, here's what you can do is take and put a little bit onto the hood of a car, follow the directions, put it on. If it says let it dry, wipe it off, and then hit it with water and just, see if it washes off, if it beads up water, because I'm pretty sure that's even though they use the word polish, I think that's a sealant is what that is.
Okay.
And there's no law or regulation on using words in the detailing industry. And a lot of people use the word polish to describe a sealant, and a lot of people use the word glaze to describe a sealant. So like race glaze isn't a glaze, it's a sealant. Zano Z2 polish isn't a polish, it's a sealant. See, so, people just, and we sell a product called Wolfgang finishing glaze. Right. It's not a glaze, it's a fine cut polish.
See, we do it.
I get so sick of answering questions about that product. We should just rename it and call it fine cut polish. That way the name on the bottle says what the product is and what it does.
All right.
And ARUPES has been really good about that. They say what their product is and what it does so the consumer isn't confused.
Okay, let's speed round. Do a little speed round here.
That was my speed round.
We have Jonathan. We have a 1998 Silverado red and white. Red looks like it went through the brush, so paint looks cracked a bit. Is the number 7 the correct product, or should I expect to get the scratched look?
97 should be base coat, clear coat. I'd polish it with a good AIO and call it good.
Okay.
Yep.
Next one, Martin. Either you can buy number 7 for your MGT, then wax, or that Blackfire AIO all-in-one.
Yep, exactly. They're both good products.
Okay. Then he comes back on. It gives life to single-stage paint, but just be careful with cracks and the damp wet will get in. All right, there you go. All right, we have a request. Ferris. Oh, gosh. Can you please do a class of paint correction for a car that has very hard clear coat that usually fails with regular paint correction techniques?
Yeah, we could do that.
That is actually, that's a good topic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We need to get a car with hard paint.
Okay, Jonathan, who makes number 7? McGuire's.
It's called Show Car Glaze.
When they switch the container from tin to plastic?
Tin to plastic. Tin. Oh, from the M16. Sometime in the 90s, I think. Yeah, these were cool. People would clean them out and use them for coin holders on the nightstand, things like that.
Okay.
Nuts and bolt holders.
Mark Zimmerman used to call the car crazing cracks if they become visible.
Yep, crazing, lacquer cracking, crow's feet, checking. Those are the 4 terms I know of. And I think if you type those into Google and add my name, you'll pull up my article.
What the heck's this one? Angie, haha, corn dogs. Hey, Mike, you know what we cannot find down there in New Zealand? Key lime pie.
Oh, man.
Yeah, actually, key lime pie sounds pretty tasty right now. That means we have to go to the Keys. Because
Yeah.
if you're going to have key lime pie, you have to go to the keys.
You got to have the specific lime for that.
Renardo thinks you look hungry. Thinks that you're hungry. Brad Hone ran over to Autogeek and grabbed some of the spare backing plate for the Beast. Smart man. Then we have Jan back. IO is a suitable for brand new car with high gloss black B-pillar plastic strip because some of them are not paint and fades quickly. It leaves color on pads like single paint. It's from pigment added to the plastic.
Yep, that's right. And it's very thin, so don't ever get too aggressive with it. It's also very soft.
Is that like electrostatically? Do they apply the color to it?
No, I think it's molded.
Is it molded in?
It's molded in. But that surface, what he's talking about is the plastic B-pillars you find on all cars and SUVs. And it's everywhere, and it's soft, and so when you wash it, it scratches easy. And if you get too aggressive and buff it, you'll peel off that black plastic, and what's underneath is white plastic, and then there is no easy fix. You can go to like J.C. Whitney and buy these chrome plastic covers that snap on or stick on with glue.
Not chrome. I saw a guy the other day.
They also sell those fluorescent colored wiper arms if you're going to go to that.
No, literally, I was at a stoplight and a guy pulled up next to me, and I was there with my daughter, and it was like you remember the old Astro vans that were kind of big and everything?
Yeah.
All right, it was one of those. And then it had, you know, those little side vent, little stick-on things that people get, like the little
portholes.
The little portholes. They had
Buick portholes.
They had those going down the side of the fender. Then on the hood, they had the air scoop, the 2 air scoops up on there. Then on the back, they had the stuck-on window.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, get this guy out of car crazy.
Cal Custom Special.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I see the people put a lot of them plastic portholes on the PT Losers.
The PT Cruisers.
Cruisers, sorry.
All right, James, any preference on Blackfire OneStep versus 3D1? Both are great products.
Well, 3D1 is a compound polish, leaves no protection. Blackfire OneStep is
very true. I was thinking speed.
A polish and a wax or sealant built into one. So they're different products, but I do like the 3D1. It's not the most aggressive polish out there, but I usually don't. You know, if I don't need that, I like it. But it stays liquid. The buffing cycle's forever, no dusting, and easy wipe off. In fact, last week when I buffed out that 2001 red Corvette, I got cut out here. I was finished about 5:30, and I didn't have time. I wanted to go home, so I didn't wipe it off. I left the compound on the car overnight, and it wiped off. In fact, probably even easier the next day. So 3D1 makes a great all-in-one compound polish.
All right, that 66 Chevelle was aqua green color, customer's car.
Cool. Is it metallic? Because that aquamarine they had was a fine metallic.
That's probably.
But it doesn't matter. Yeah, rub that sucker down.
We're
with
waiting,
7.
Jamie. Is it metallic?
I think if you look closely, you'll find out it's a very fine metallic. It may not be. I'm not a Chevelle expert, but I know my paints.
All right, speed round.
Okay.
Quick one-sentence answers. Thomas Curdy, for paint transfer, I'd first try lacquer thinner. It is a safe method to try first.
That's true. That'll work.
All right.
Yep, run there and rub with some lacquer thinner.
On this?
The only thing I say is sometimes that paint is just so impacted on that if the lacquer thinner don't work, then sometimes you just got to resort to a mechanical means.
I said one sentence, but he just...
Speed round.
All right. On this, sir, are you familiar with blue ribbon compound?
I think I've heard of it, but I don't know if I've ever tried it.
Okay. Lenny, off topic, Mike, do you still use the OG clay bars, or do you have moved over to a Mitt?
You know, I brought a Mitt out here, and I was going to talk about that. But here's my own personal take. These things work really good. I'll try to do this as quick as I can. A lot of times when you're using this, you're going to use this in a wash process. Okay, that means you haven't done a test spot, so you don't know if the paint is hard or soft. If you start using, and I don't want to badmouth any brand, but if you're using polymerized rubber as a clay substitute on a car that you're washing, and after you're all done, you find out the paint is soft because you marred the hell out of it, it's like, whoops. So what I like to do is get the car clean and then go right to a fine grade clay. Some people go, well, that's not as fast. Yeah, but you know, that's an area where I don't want speed. Where I want speed is when I'm doing the paint correction. Okay. So I'm a big ultra fine clay guy. My friend Robert DiTrolisi was over here and we talked about that. He's of the same mindset. We all switched over to the rubberized things. Now we've all come back to
evolution.
The
and everybody jumped on the new thing to see what it's all about, then realized sometimes the original was better. All right,
well, all you got to do is mar the hell out of someone's really expensive soft black paint, black car.
Then you're done.
And spend a shitload of time getting the marring out when you could have avoided the whole thing.
All right, we have Russ. I have a Porsche 88 930. Would 7 be a go-to factor?
Would number 7?
Yeah.
88? Maybe if it's single stage. And I have seen some late model Porsches in single stage black. Do the little test. Rub a white cloth with a white polish real lightly somewhere and see if you're pulling color. If you are, yeah, use the 7, then put a wax on it. Or polish it and wax it.
Sarah, I love it. Damn, gonna have to rewatch it. Damn job. I can see her walking away. I want to watch this.
Hey, I learned the hard way, you know, by thinking I knew it all and found out that I didn't know
That's
it all.
why you can replay these things. All right, we have Claude here. After the wax, the motorcycle is like a dust magnet. Is there a way to eliminate the static that attracts the dust?
You know, what happens when you wipe a traditional wax or even a sealant off paint is the motion of a dry cloth in your hand creates static electricity. And you got a couple of problems. You got the static you just created in the paint and the metal. There's static in the air, and you can't put something in the air to make it go away. It'd be like doing something to the Earth's atmosphere. So here's what you can do. If you just take a clean towel with some water and wipe it down, the water will remove the static. Damp will remove the, or just a spray detailer, Meguiar's quick detailer. Yeah. Water will remove that static electricity. Now it's temporary.
Whoa, hey, look at how glossy that was. It was moving.
That's a temporary fix because I actually got an article on this. If you go to Google and type in static electricity, the word dust, and add Mike Phillips, you'll find the article. You can tell because I got a picture of a boy. He's rubbing a balloon over his head, and the hair is
actually a self-portrait of Mike when he was a kid.
But I explain everything about static electricity in that article.
Okay.
There actually was a product at one time that reduced static electricity in paint. It was Meguiar's Medallion M98. And they made this thing with all the molecules in it were positive. Usually, this is kind of weird, but everything God makes has a positive charge. Everything man makes has a negative charge. And the Meguiar's chemists went in and reversed it. And when you put this on, it created an anti-static surface. And back when that was for sale, it was $20, and most people about puked up blood when they thought they had to pay $20 for a bottle of sealant. Nowadays, we spend a couple $100 and don't even think twice about it.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay,
I have some of that in my antique wax collection.
Okay, what question was I on? All right, let's go. Armando, you haven't mentioned if you can ceramic coat the car instead of waxing it, or I use to wax no matter what.
I have. If you're working on classic or antique original single stage paint, if you wipe that down with a panel wipe, you'll tend to dull it, okay? So it's working backwards. You always want to be working forwards in the process. You can do it. There's no law against it. And I've done it. It looks pretty good, but just do a test spot.
Okay. All right, last one. Martin, I can attest that the 2016 300C and my 2011 Ram both have rock hard clear coat. Took 30 passes to get out micro marking scratches from either using Meguiar's 105. My Dodge Charger, it is rock hard also. I mean, Dodge has hard paint, so. Okay, all right. Then we have Thomas saying, bye, thanks, Mike and Yancy. Time to go today and clean the customer's red.
Real quick, yellow towel.
All right, let me go to this cam, get that, where'd it go away? Get that off there. And Mike is going to show you one last thing.
Okay, I'm always talking about this, but here I gotta say, it goes like this. It takes hours to buff out a car. It takes seconds to put scratches in. Microfiber towels are grabby. That's why we like them. They grab the polish off the paint. They grab the spray wax, the quick detailer, the high spots. They pull stuff off. And the same way we like them for how they perform on paint, they grab contaminants. This is out of the wash machine this week, and these things here, whatever they are
they're embedded in there.
They're embedded in there. And we can see them because they're dark and the towel is yellow. But here's what I teach people all the time. First of all, you need to have a clean place to keep your microfiber towels when you're done using them. Don't let them land on the ground. Make sure the thing you put them in is clean. Then they go to the washer, then they go to the dryer, then they come out to a clean place to fold and inspect them. When you inspect them, look at them and feel them with your hand. And if you find pokey hard things, pick them out. If you can't pick them out, that becomes something you're going to check the oil with, okay? You're not going to wipe paint with it. But everybody needs to have a process in place to manage their towels from the time they come out of the storage bin or the storage cabinet to the time they get folded and put away. They got to keep them clean because they'll grab contaminants. If you don't have the contaminants there and you spend all day polishing out a black Corvette and you wipe it one time and scratch it, now you got to do all your work over again.
Same with your pads.
Pads less likely, but
wool pads.
Well, yeah, I always use a spur on them.
Yeah. All right, so with that being said, thank you. Really good questions. I enjoyed those questions.
Good questions.
And today was International Day. We had people from, I think, everywhere. We had Australia, I mean, everywhere.
Yeah, plus we got to use the cyclo.
We got to use the cyclo. We got to
use the Beast. It's going away.
So, yeah.
Products that are going away.
Well, some that's already
They're gone. No,
gone.
well, Glass bottle's gone.
Glass bottle's gone.
Yeah. That's gone.
That's gone. So we hope that you enjoyed it, and if you haven't, like always before, yeah, comment.
Teflon.
You just keep going on. If you haven't liked or shared it to any of your friends or hit the subscribe button, please do so. It means a lot for us. And side note is, since you're off next week, we will not be here next week. And we may, if we get a chance, we got to do some videos next week. So we may get a chance. We might pre-record one, and I'll post it up for a live view. Then I'll be on in the comments to monitor you guys' comments and questions.
Yeah.
But that's if we get to it, so don't hold me to that just yet. But with that being said, there is going to be an announcement coming up soon, because we're waiting on certain items to get in, so that way we can announce it.
Yep.
So be tuned, because then you're gonna. There's this really cool thing that's coming. I wish I could tell you right now, but I can't. But one of you lucky winners, one of you lucky viewers is going to have an amazing experience with us.
Wow.
Amazing experience. So that's all I got to say about that. Anything else you got to say?
I got nothing. I talked out.
Well, you did a nice little brain dump. And like always, if you have any other comments, or actually any suggestions, I should say, about what you'd like to see, post them down below. And I do like that hard paint one.
I like the hard paint one.
I think that maybe we get like a new C8 in, showing how soft that paint is.
Yeah.
And a hard
I say we get your car in here and show how to put swirls in first, so we can show how to remove them.
Well, this one's going away.
Oh, yeah.
So when we can do it to this one.
Oh, let's do it.
Then when my new one comes, no.
We use a brick.
No. All right. Bye.
Later.